What's going on, guys? We got this figure here. This is a Spawn figure. Name is Overkill. It's like Overkill with a T in the middle of it. Um, so this figure, pretty cool. It's a larger figure. Doesn't move very well, but that's fine. I can work with that. What I really wanted to do today, this is take two of this. I wanted to make this thing look a little more detailed. I think McFarlane has always been known for his sculpts. Um, and I think the paint apps kind of came with the sculpting, but I think nowadays it's more sculpting than it is paint apps. A lot of pieces here are just molded and then inserted into the figure. Let me zoom in. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong things here. Let me zoom in, show you. So again, that I've done a little bit of this before. I started recording and then I had to stop it, but um, so you can see here on the face, or not the face, on the chest, you've got these four, I don't know, engine intakes, whatever. Maybe it's a little capsule and he has some chewing gum in there. I have no idea what those do. Um, but he's got this black panel liner here that I put on, and then on these, he doesn't. So basically what I wanted to do in today's video is I wanted to basically layer this entire figure with panel liner and wash and everything. Because if you look at the face there, you probably notice the amount of detail. I did not do that. I did not do the wash in the burnt flesh and everything. Oh, my camera's all screwed up. I did not do this. I'm going to use Gambit's staff here to show you so my finger doesn't ruin this. All of this detail work in here on the face, it's probably really grainy. But all of this wash on here, I did not do that. That was all that was all factory. I just think this looks a little softer. It's not as detailed. So I'm going through and I'm just adding that extra layer of wear and weathering and grime and detail onto this figure that it's missing. So basically what I'm going to be doing is these spots right here, some spots on the head. I might do the armor in this video, I might not. I don't know how it's going to look yet. So if it looks bad, then I'm not going to do it. But I think it's mainly the head and the torso that really need some love. And yeah, if anyone's wondering, how big is Overkill? Well, here we got a Star Wars Black Series clone trooper from that first animated Clone Wars thing that they did. So that's him next to this figure, and you can see this figure is about 6.5 inches tall right here. So he's probably I don't know, maybe 8 inches, maybe pushing a foot tall. I don't actually know. I don't have a G.I. Joe to scale it next to. Here it is next to a Stewart's Cola bottle. So there you go. That's got water in it. So yeah, that's really all I'm going to be doing. I'll demonstrate it, and then I'll pause the video and come back when it's done. So let me move the red captain out of the way. So before I had to stop the first recording, I was working on this apparatus on the side of the head. So basically, the panel liner is actually really cool. Comes in this black bottle here. I'll show it off. It's this stuff. Smells like gasoline a lot. I could go open up a gas can right in my room, put it right next to me. It would not smell like gasoline as much as this does. It is, I don't know why it smells like that. To me, it always makes some really tasty products. So, yeah, it's very, very strong stuff. I would recommend wearing a mask. I'm going to once I'm done doing the voice recording part of this. But basically, you just take it, you dip it in the liquid. The brush is already dipped in the liquid, right, like, off the get-go. I would recommend just, like, wiping some of it off on the side of the inside of the bottle because you don't want a bunch, otherwise it'll make a mess. And you just kind of go in and you touch the panel liner to whatever it is you want to work on. And I don't know how well this is going to come across on camera, but it's almost like magic, dude. It just goes right on, really, really smooth. And yeah, it kind of gives everything a nice layer of weathering that I just think was missing initially on this figure. So yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna do one of these. I did it in the last one, so I'll do it here. You just kind of touch it and drag, touch and drag the panel liner around like that. There you go. You go all the way around. Fill in these holes right here. And then anything that's on the surface, you just kind of wipe it off. And there you go. And defines it really, really well. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Works like magic. If I do end up doing the green, I'll come back and I'll show that off. I don't think I'm going to. More likely than not, I'm probably just going to do the parts that I think need it. And then I'll conclude the video. So this will probably be a shorter one for today, but yeah, it'll be good. Alright, so after doing the discs on the torso, the rest of the head, and a little bit of the belt, I'll position this down so you can see that. I think it's coming out pretty good. I'm inclined to do the green, but I really don't know if I'm going to do it in this video or not, because I don't want to be doing this for like 35 minutes. I did the green down here to kind of test it out, see if I wanted to do it. It came out pretty good, I think. The belt, I think, is looking a lot better. So yeah, that's the idea right now of what I want to do. So I think this looks pretty good. And yeah, so I guess I don't want this to only be like an 8-minute video. So I'll just go over a couple more things about this figure that I like. The articulation is not really anything to write home about, but something that I do think is pretty cool is, well, actually, let me bring in the vintage figure. So this is the vintage figure here. Right, this is the vintage one. And you can definitely see, let me get the parking meter out of his hand here. You can definitely see the extreme differences. This figure here, first of all, there should be 2 shoulder pads. This one has 1. This guy has a shirt on. This guy has none. There's no belt on this figure. This guy does have a belt. This just kind of looks like an old man. Of course, this figure looks like a zombie. Also, this figure is missing the parking meter. I don't know why this guy came with a parking meter. It's probably something to do with the comics. I did not buy this figure new. I do want to buy it new. I'm probably going to end up giving this one to a friend of mine when I buy a sealed figure. But yeah, this guy, out of the original 6, is definitely my least favorite. I really just want to buy it new for the comic and because I love Spawn. I think it's a great line of figures. Yeah, I will say this guy, definitely there's some color scheme things going on with him that just don't look right. I think this figure is an improvement in every way. The only thing that this guy doesn't have that this guy has that I like is the ability to just, like, kill himself. So, that's fun. This guy doesn't have that, or this guy, rather, doesn't have that. Yeah, as you can see, I figured I would use this time to make a follow-up. My fix didn't work in the last video, so I'm probably not going to take it down. I don't really want to delete any videos of mine, but I might go back and just make an update and be like, hey, this is what I'm going to do to fix it, see if this works. So yeah, that's pretty much all there really is to that. I will say as well, this figure doesn't necessarily look like he's made of metal. It almost looks like he's either got fur sculpted on his arms or like he's got chainmail. So that's interesting. And then, I mean, I don't have to keep pointing out differences. I think this kind of speaks for itself. There are some key elements that are still there. You've got the spikes on the arm. You know, they're right there. So those are still there. You've got the eye apparatus on the head and the doodad on the side there. His that's his his AirPods. He's listening to some Overkill. Probably some I don't know, probably some Scorched would be my guess. I think he would like the song Scorched. The chains are not on his arm anymore. Also, the this figure is bulked up a lot, right? So he's got the two giant plates of armor on the side of his forearms there, and instead of having on his hands, instead of the knuckle pieces being the same color as the armor pieces, they are like that goldish color. So yeah, it's a very big change, but I think in every single way other than the head rocket, I think that this figure is an absolute improvement. For articulation, don't expect a lot, honestly. This figure is very limited in its posability, but I think it makes up for that in its shelf presence. So the legs, I'm going to try and do this without messing up my panel liner here. So the legs move forward about that much. As you move the leg forward, you're going to push the diaper in, which if you leave the figure in certain poses for too long, it would absolutely mess up the diaper. That's what they call this piece. It's made of rubber, so that it can get out of the way of articulation. The problem with that is it can rip, and it can get deformed, and thus, you'll have a damaged figure. I don't actually know how to undo that. So, I just would recommend not getting too crazy with the legs. For splits, McFarlane always has some crazy gymnasts here. You can do the splits pretty well. The knee actually is not bad. You get about, I would say it's a little less than 90. There is a joint here. So if you take apart a McFarlane figure, there is a joint in here, but the sculpting of the thigh prevents there being a swivel. But if you were to take this figure apart, pop the torso and legs off, you could cut material out of there and actually get articulation. So that may be a future video. This is probably not the last you're going to see of this guy. So, yeah, the knee. Then there's a swivel here. It's pretty tight, but there's a swivel there at the knee. There's nothing at the ankle, like swivel-wise, but it does go down, back and forward. It does run into the sculpt there. As you can see, it doesn't go back any more than that. And then there is rocker, so you can get him into some wide stances. Torso is on a ball joint at the bottom, so it can move all around. He can do the hula hoop. It is a little loose. By a little loose, I mean very loose, but this is a big figure. I'm not making excuses, but that's just how these things work. So that's pretty good range. I just need to make it a little tighter. The head can move up that much, but you can kind of shift it on the second ball joint and make it look up just a little more. So there you go. And then it doesn't really look to the side. It kind of looks down and down, and then you can do the full rotation there. I'm not gonna subject my figure to that. The shoulder pad is on a ball joint, so it can kind of move around like that. And then this is a ball joint here, so that can move around, but it doesn't get a lot of range. Usually, McFarlane will put, like, this moving cup inside of that. I don't know why he didn't do it for this figure. This figure is from 2022. This is a Mortal Kombat Spawn figure here. Oops. Bumped my camera. This is a Mortal Kombat Spawn figure here, and you can see how much more range it gets because of this cup that's inside there. So, if you were to make some clearance for that, he could get some really good range. This is a future project I'm working on. You can see I cut the cape off. It looks pretty nasty. And I'm going to replace some parts on here. So I might make a video on that, but that'd probably be like an all-day endeavor. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it. So, I guess I'm going to, with this Spawn custom, I'm probably just going to use like one of Papito's videos as like a template and just go off of that. If anyone's not familiar, Papito Loco on YouTube, absolutely go check him out. So the arm moves out that far, and then you can get a little bit of shift in there with that. But it does kind of like to go back down because of how heavy it is. There's a rotation. It bends. You're going to get a little less than 90 again, probably about the same range as the knee. And then there's a wrist swivel and a hinge. So yeah, don't expect to get some crazy poses out of this figure. I think the value in this guy is more just about the look and the intimidation factor he has on your shelf. You know, you put this guy next to Spawn, and he is noticeably taller. I mean, he looks down on Spawn. You know, I think all of the shortcomings of this figure kind of seem, at least to me, less significant because, you know, the figure itself is so menacing, and it does everything that I personally need it to do. And I'm used to the older Spawn figures not moving very well anyway, so it doesn't bother me a whole lot. The only reason I want this guy to move better is because, like, if you pick up literally any Spawn comic, you will see this dude doing all the Spider-Man poses. So, you know, he's basically hitting a web-swinging pose, but not web-swinging. Because if anyone out there somehow doesn't know, Todd McFarlane drew, like, the most popular Spider-Man ever. And he carried that style of his, like, movement and the dynamic vibes, I guess you could say, of Spider-Man over to Spawn. And he made him what he is, basically. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool figure. I'm going to get this guy out of here. I like this guy a lot. He's really, really awesome. If anyone out there is wondering, you know, should I get this guy? Honestly, yeah, if you can get him for a good deal, I would. It's a big, big figure. Takes up a lot of real estate. So if you are short on room, excuse this guy on a motorcycle going by. If you are running out of room on your displays, probably don't get this guy. If it's like this figure or, you know, a really, really good Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure, or if you're a DC Multiverse collector, you know, maybe you want that, I think they did like a shark Build-A-Figure. I'm not much of a DC guy. I think they did like a humanoid shark guy. That thing's pretty awesome. If it was this guy or the big shark dude, honestly, I think that's a close call, but it's up to the collector, right? But as you can see, this figure is nearly as wide as it is tall. It is probably, I would say, about 8 inches tall, maybe even taller. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind for anyone out there. But that's going to be about it for this video. I'm probably going to make a second one, so keep an eye out. Or maybe I'll do what I always do and say I'm going to make a video and never do. So, yeah, that's about it. I'll see you in the next one.